Shelley Carney and Toby Eunice bring you New Mexico day trips. Visit national parks, monuments, state parks, and historical sites. See the amazing and unique desert vistas of the Land of Enchantment and walk through the visitor centers, museums, and Pueblo ruins with us. Enjoy the sights, sounds, and flavors of New Mexico. Let's have an adventure. It's a really long black ending there. It's like, wait, what happened?
I feel like we're missing something there. What's going on there?
It's just a long ending.
Is it?
Yeah, because it goes.
Oh, the music. Okay, that's right.
It's black.
Wait a minute. I've got to. So Alamogordo has the international space. We almost went to add. We had just another.
Yeah, because
we wanted to go. It was
the
one of the
wind
places
was
we wanted to
bad,
go.
but it wasn't that bad. Because if it had been really bad, we would have gone there instead. We didn't have time for both, unfortunately.
No, we spent a long time. I mean,
because it's a long drive back.
That's the other thing too, is we had to get back that same day. So, but we'll tell you more about the trip here in a bit.
Yeah, our state is a little bigger than some of those states.
Some of those other states.
Alicia was telling me about traveling from New Hampshire to Vermont, and it was a 2-hour drive. It's like, oh gosh,
over
all
there
the way to
back.
Gallup.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's one of the nice things about these days.
2 hours.
You can go from Fairfax, Virginia to New York City in 5 hours, including it takes you longer to drive down to DC than on the train on the Excella to New York.
It takes us 2 hours to get even to another city around here. Yeah. All right. Anyway, big state.
Big state. Talk to me.
Welcome. Hello, and welcome to New Mexico Day Trips. I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Thanks for joining us tonight. We have a lot to talk about.
We do. That's why we just jumped right in.
We jumped right in.
We jumped. And we've been having a great week this week since we did 2 shows last week, enough content for 2 shows last week. This week, we've been going to parties.
We
took a little time off for ourselves.
With
some parties.
See the picture.
There's last night's party.
Hold it. I'm not steady enough to hold it.
There's last night's party. We went to the Jingle Mingle put on by our friend DJ Heckus of Exhibit. And we had a great time, and we won prizes.
I didn't bring my prize in.
I won a 60-minute float from True Rest, which is you get into this pod filled with Epsom salt water and you float for an hour. I don't know. It's like they said it's worth $89. I'm like, okay, sure. I'll take it.
I got mixed up when they said float. I thought it was like a float,
root beer and
vanilla
ice cream.
Float, a root beer float. Yeah. And so when I wanted, I gave it back, and then they gave me a $25 gift card to an Italian restaurant, and I felt like I'm stuck with that. We do occasionally go to Matucci's. And I said, I'm stuck with that.
Place.
And then somebody didn't claim their cherry pie, so I traded in the Matucci's for a
instant gratification
cherry pie. Yeah, that's what both
Village Inn, yeah.
Because I didn't know Village Inn. Yeah, now that helped. Because I never knew when I was going to get to Matucci's again. So there we are.
We could have gone.
Google Chrome says we have 2 new notifications, but they're hidden and can't be shared on your screen. So,
all right. Did we figure out Golden Key Nuts? Is that Eugene? Is that the name of your nut farm? Your orchard? What would you call it? Nut farm or an orchard?
I don't know what
they're trees.
They're called. They're trees, so it's probably an orchard.
Yeah, I would think so.
They produce a fruit. Nuts are fruits.
Are they?
Fruits and nuts.
Fruits and nuts.
I have no idea.
Christmas
I'm actually
time.
Just winging it at this point.
So
what do they call a bunch? What do they call a location that's a bunch of trees that produce nuts? It's not. Apparently, it's not an orchard.
Why wouldn't it be? Doesn't orchard indicate trees?
Well, orchard indicates trees that produce fruit.
What was that?
That's my friendly guy that fires off a rifle.
Oh my
God. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
And I keep telling the police. I call the police and I said, they say, I tell them it's a high-powered rifle. And he said, they say, how do you know? And I said, because I've been shooting weapons all of my life. I know the difference. So I just want to know what he's shooting at.
Yeah, but then again, you thought your bushes were meth.
Okay. He's regular, 7 o'clock. So I got this guy. And he feels like he's 2 houses away. I don't know for certain, but every once in a while, and I live in a neighborhood. I don't live out in the boonies. I live in a closed community with big walls all around us. And every so often, this guy fires a rifle off into the air, like he's planning for deer season or something. I don't know. But what he doesn't seem to realize is that everything that goes up, according to gravity, eventually comes down. So that bullet is going to come down someplace. But he does it every once in a while. He'll do 2 or 3 in one night. So I call the police and say, bosque, he says, 140 pecan trees. They're a bosque, a tree forest.
A what? How many?
It says bosque.
140. Wow.
So we did stop by the, what was it?
Pistachio land.
Pistachio land. We stopped by Pistachio land.
Pistachio.
And we got a couple of bottles. Or did we get 1 or 2 bottles there?
Just one.
Just one.
Pomegranate wine.
We got a pomegranate
we got
wine.
2 bags of pistachio things.
We got a bag of roasted and salted, but they had all kinds. Like they had chili flavored pistachio, every kind of flavor that you could imagine. I just got the salted and roasted
Sweet
ones,
and salty and savory and all.
And then I got a bag of pecan brittle.
Pistachio brittle.
I know
we want to say pecan. They did have some pecans there as well, but their big thing was pistachios, and they had we talked about this last week, and you probably saw the picture of the big giant pistachio in the.
Shelley kept insisting that she could have stayed there for hours. Thankfully, we only went. We got there at 5 to 5, and they close at 5. So she didn't get to stay there as long as she wanted. So, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so that for us, that's why Shelley said,
"Go if you're in the area, go."
Yeah.
But don't wait till 5 o'clock in the evening. No. Go before that.
So
lunchtime.
We did 2 one-day trips in that week. So we went down. We left on Monday. We drove to Three Rivers Petroglyph site. We did the New Mexico day trip tour there. Got all the video that we wanted, and then we drove from there at the end of the day to Alamogordo, and we stayed in the
Home 2 Suites Hilton.
Home 2 Suites by Hilton. Very nice hotel, by the way.
On the edge of town.
Very, very modern.
Actually on the outskirts.
And it was called the Bypass, the something Joe something bypass. Remember? Joe
Snow
Weeks?
route. Relief route.
That
was it.
And so it was in a part of Alamogordo that was kind of removed from everything. And it was very quiet. It's a very nice hotel. Great breakfast. And great price. I was able to use some of my
across from the ice machine.
And door down from and I don't usually like being near the elevators of the ice machine because
it was still quiet.
Yeah, it was pretty quiet.
We're in the end.
And did I say great breakfast?
Yeah.
Lots
of choices.
So and I was able to use my Expedia points. That's what made it so good.
Yeah.
Hi, Jeep Girl, Jody. So it was a good trip for us. So on the second day, we drove from the hotel to and the show that you're going to see today to White Sands National Park. Did that through the day. I had prepared something to cook on 1 or 2 of the days, but it was so windy on both days. And of course, not only was it windy at White Sands, but it was blowing dust to boot. So we didn't get to do any cooking this time, but it still turned out to be a 30-minute long video.
That is something that you will see when you're down in that area if it's windy. And it often is the white just kind of covers everything. It turns like a haze. It's almost like putting a transparency over your picture. It's like those bright saturated colors are gone because the white haze, which is the sand blowing through the air.
So I will put a link. So the video that actually does the tour loop, and I know both JKN or Golden and Jeep Girl have been there because they both commented on it. So that video turned out to be about 30 minutes long. So we have a scrunched version, a time speeded up version in tonight's video. But if you want to see it in regular, normal motion, normal speed, it's actually on that. And I'll find it here and I'll put that link in both the chat room and the description box below. Thank
so
you.
this week we have this video, which is the live stream, and we're going to show the condensed video of everything. And then we also have that drive video. So there's 3 videos for this
week. Yeah. 3 videos. So Jody says, are you still collecting sand samples, Toby? You know what, Jody, I am collecting them because one day I'm going to get back to doing them, and I'm still being sent samples by folks. And so, yeah, I still, if you want to send them to me, let me know and I'll give you an address.
Toby just goes through these phases. He'll get back to the sand phase eventually.
Well, I've got, $3,500 worth of microscopes, for God's sakes. So
not to mention boats.
Not to mention boats.
I told you not to mention that.
Don't mention the boats. Colorado's in the room. Hello, Colorado. How are you doing?
Yeah, all our people from Colorado here.
So anyway, we had a really good trip, and we think it's going to be reflected in this video and the one, I should probably let me do that right now so I don't forget about it.
So, yeah, we had a couple of parties this week. Saturday night, we went to a friend's house for their party, and they live in a converted warehouse down near Central Avenue, which is Route 66. And they had the Twinkle Light Parade scheduled for Saturday evening. Unfortunately, it rained all day Saturday, all Saturday night to Sunday morning. So the Twinkle Light Parade was got rained on. Don't rain on my parade. Well, it rained on their parade. The one day we had rain in December, and it happened to be on that parade day.
They did a shortened version of the parade because I saw it on the news the following day. So here is the link. Let's put that in the chat room right now. That is the link to the full length, normal speed video of the tour loop, of the drive-through of the tour loop.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So is there anything else? Any other announcements?
Because we want to provide all that for you people.
Yeah.
No, that's all we got. Ready for the video.
So we did, and I think we may do more of that, especially when we're going down south for trips, is go down one day, do one location, stay overnight, and then do a second location. And Alamogordo is a really good place because it's got a lot of other things going around it. We're actually going to try something different this week. We're going to do a tour through a part of New Mexico that goes, it would be, let me see. So you're going east. Yeah. And then down. So it's east of the Manzano Mountains, which is out I-40 and then south all the way
they just
down.
Name all their mountains about fruit, don't they?
Sandia,
watermelon,
Manzano,
apple,
Gila.
No. That's an apple or a pear.
Sangre de Cristo.
Sangre. It's like sangria. They put all the fruit
No.
in that.
Sangre is sangre. Tusas, the Tusas range. The chaman, you got manzanos and sandias.
Oh, okay.
That was probably the same group of Spaniards that did that.
You like fruit.
Yeah. So let's share some pictures. You want to share some pictures?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the pictures. So I went back to my old shtick of getting the maps like I used to do when we did World Sand Project. So this is the map of the location that we're down to. You start, of course, in my town of Bernalillo. You drive south until you get to exit. I don't even know what that exit is.
139?
It's the same one that gets off that we get off for.
It's before Socorro, right? It was before or after?
After Socorro.
Oh, it was after.
It's the bird. It's the Bosque de la Pache. I think you're right. 139, and you take 139 east to Carrizozo. But see this spot right here, that black thing right there. Mm-hmm. That is the Valley of Fires, and it was this little volcano right up here that threw a fit about 5,000 years ago and started spewing lava into the Tularosa Basin, and it formed a flow that's at its widest about, 5 or 10 miles, but it's 45 miles long. And that's actually BLM property, and it's called the Valley of Fires. And we went through it twice, and both times that we went through it on the way in.
Severe wind warning,
blowing like the dickens. We tried to get the drone up, couldn't get the drone up.
Gorgeous weather this week.
Yeah.
Last week,
monstrous. But we are definitely going to go back to the Valley of Fires. It's just too cool not to. Then you go south from Carrizozo through Tularosa to Alamogordo, and then from Alamogordo to White Sands. Now, you can get to White Sands by going all the way down south to on I-25 to Las Cruces, and then across and back up. We wanted to see the Valley of Fires and some other things that we wanted to do. And this looks like you're crossing a mountain, big mountain. You're not. I think at the highest, we were at 6,600 feet, according to the GPS. And it's not like driving a mountain pass in Colorado. These are much more gradual and kind of older mountains, like driving in the mountains out east, where they're older, so they've been kind of, the edges have worn off. So you don't get that same feeling of driving off into Neverland that you do when you're driving in Colorado mountain passes. So again, the Valley of Fire is someplace that we want to go back to. The other place that we went, the Three Rivers petroglyph site, is right around here. It's between Carrizozo and Tularosa. So honestly, those are places. I'm trying to remember if I've ever been to Alamogordo. I must have, because I know I've been to White Sands. My family used to go to White Sands all the time, but I don't ever remember being in Carrizozo or Tularosa. So those are places that I hadn't been to. We have a story to tell about the White Sands Range. Golden says, I worked on the White Sands Range, been all through it, all the way up to Stallion. Yeah, so that's over here. So he's been up all through this area. So that's kind of the map. There's another, this is what it looks like on the map. And you can see, for the most part, this is the White Sands Monument right here in this area. The rest of this big space up here is the White Sands Missile Range. And it is very, very busy. And you see entries into the Missile Range. So here's that Tularosa road between Alamogordo through Tularosa and Carrizozo. You see entry points into the White Sands Missile Range along this corridor on Route 36. And then over on the corridor, you can't see it on the map. Let me go back here. So along this corridor here, right in here, and this corridor here, these roads, you see entry points into the White Sands Missile Range, and they're all secure entry points. They require passes to get through. Busy? That is creepy. Which is, oh, you mean the White Sands Missile Range being busy? So yeah, it is very, very busy. We'll tell you a little story about it. So again, this is where they test weapons of all kinds, missiles, bombs, rockets, all those things. They use this area for testing. So I don't think anybody resents the fact that they're using part of this gypsum bed to do that. It's probably a good place because it reduces the amount of potential damage. Dropping a bomb on a pile of sand is very different from dropping a bomb on hard ground. So, but they're there and they're very, very busy. Testing out those weapons. So this is the story of the sands, and they tell it. So they have a very nice visitor center. They have not only the gift shops, they have two different gift shops, but they also have this, what do they call those things? The places where you go in, the information
visitor center.
Visitor center. So they have this big area with information about all of what you're going to find here at White Sands. And there's a 14-minute long movie that we recommend you watch because it's very informative. But the story is the gypsum comes out of the mountains, right? And the wind blows it through all these canyons down into this area right here along Lake Lucero. And what happens is what doesn't get down in here ends up in Lake Lucero. And then a couple of times a year, Lake Lucero dries up, but it leaves behind crystals that are made of,
that are called selenite.
Selenite. They're selenite crystals. And a selenite crystal is not a little tiny crystal. It's a very big crystal. And it's those selenite crystals that eventually break down and are further blown through the wind into what turns into the White Sands. So it's a very complex process that makes it happen. Their big story recently was they did find some, and it's part of the video, they did find some footprints that they estimated to be somewhere between 10 and 15,000 years old, which was kind of improperly aged for or unexpectedly aged for this location and that period. It was like, that means humans were down here 5,000 years before any previous evidence would indicate. And I just read an article on over the weekend, and it said they've redone the calculations, they've reanalyzed it, and they think it's, rather than 15,000 years, it's more like 7,500 years, which is more in line with the anthropologists' expectations of the peoples that were down here at the time. So they were mostly at this period Mogollon, which were a very advanced culture. They were making pottery long before any of the Puebloans or any of the other tribes that were in that southwest area, Arizona, to a lesser extent, Utah,
So
New
it was
Mexico.
probably their YouTube channel about how to make pottery where everybody else learned it.
Pardon me?
Said it was probably their YouTube channel.
Oh, their YouTube channel.
About how to make pottery.
See, don't do that, because my mind doesn't work like that. My mind doesn't work with the contradictions inherent in humor. So I took just one of the shots that we did, and this shot was taken on what is referred to as the boardwalk, which is a very easy way to get a full sense of what the area is all about, because it's a very easy walk. It's designed so that it can be used by handicapped people, and you kind of it gives you kind of a nice overview. You get to see everything. And when you have somebody like Shelley reading all the little signs as you're going along, it's very helpful.
Okay.
And we're going to see a little bit of that. We do have video. Tonight's video is a little bit long.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's close to 30 minutes long.
Waiting
so we
for
got a lot of stuff going
here.
on. Okay. You got to hear the other stuff
now.
So I don't know whether you recall, but there was a point at which somebody sent us a vial of gypsum from the White Sands, because you're not allowed to take it. There's a big sign out front as you're going into on the drive. There's a sign there that says, "Don't collect the sand," right? You can buy small vials of the sand in the gift center, but somebody sent us one, so we put it under the microscope. And what we discovered, the first thing that we discovered, is because it's white, it's very reflective, so it's very hard to shoot. You literally have to turn off the lights in order to get a shot, and then of course you don't have any lighting. This one was taken. The reason all the other stuff looks green is it was taken with a specialized kind of microscope that's used for not infrared. Anyway, it's a specialized microscope. I'll think of it before the night is over. I own one, so I should know what the name is. But this is one of the grains that comes from the gypsum. And you can see, I kind of expected it to be more rough around the edges, because that's what causes it not to be as flexible as regular sand. Regular sand has millions of years to rub against itself and smooth itself out. This one doesn't have that. It got those kind of rough edges all around. Now you got to remember, since this ended up in the photo that I had, it got through a 2 millimeter sieve. So that grain of sand is 2 millimeters or smaller in order to get there. But that's what it looks like. And you can see all that rough stuff just in that little grain. So, and it's not rock. It's not what traditional kinds of sand look like. It is gypsum, and it's just gypsum that's been worn down to the scale of a piece of sand. That's my bestie and me taking our selfie. No, it's not
Looking
electron.
into
I wish.
the sun, squinting.
Yeah, it's a polarizing microscope. So that's me and the bestie. So I decided, rather than to try and hold up my challenge coin, they did have a challenge coin. And what I got to tell you is I'm accustomed to paying anywhere between $20 and $30 for a challenge coin. This one was $7.99, and it's a well-made one. It's got all the enamel in it on one side. And I thought the other side was a cool idea. The other side, the obverse, the reverse, is the benchmark that identifies the location at White Sands. So this thing actually exists. So they took that benchmark and turned it into the reverse side of their challenge coin. That's what it looks like on the front. So very cool. Here, down here, it took me a while to read this. It says, leave only footprints. White Sands National Park. I wouldn't have put that in the script, but that's them, not me. So, nice challenge coin. Got quite a collection. I ended up ordering one of those shadow box cases for my challenge coins. So I've got a place to collect them now.
That's right. And while we were in the gift shop looking at it, or actually I asked the person working there, I said, in the visitor center, I said, do you have any challenge coins? And she said, what's that? And I explained what it was. It's, it looks like a coin, but it's, decorative and all this. And she was like, huh. And the guy standing right next to the rack said, here it is. And so I said, oh, great. And he's like, do all the national parks have these? And I said, I think they do. And then, you can get them at the parks, and then you can get the nice box with the groove in it, and you can display them and put it on the wall. And he's like, oh, well, I'm going to get one. So I started somebody on a new hobby.
So Golden says, yes, we did see. He asked, did we see the Valley of Fires? Yes, we did. We were able. So we made a pass through on the way in. We went through the visitors to the not visitor center. There's a recreation area for parking. They have several RV what do you call them when they have everything?
Well-equipped
RV sites, water and electricity. They did have a visitor center, but the first day that we were there, it was closed. And so we decided, let's stop on the way back. We knew we weren't going to get the drone up because it is a BLM piece of property, so you can launch a drone, but it was even windier the second day. And so we ran, I think the only thing we got that day was another selfie shot.
Yeah. But we looked at the trail, and we do want to go walk it because it's a pretty cool looking trail.
There's a very nice looking. It looks like it was designed the same way the one at White Sands was designed, so that it could accommodate handicap. Yeah. It was certainly wide enough and smooth enough. It's one of those aluminum trails that they put in, but it leads through this lava flow, and literally. The Spanish referred to it as mal pais, bad lands, because they thought at first they could cross it. There is no way you can cross this. It's just you can't walk across it. You would end up getting injured as you stumbled, tripped, and tried to get your way. You'd end up crawling through. Plus, since then, since the lava flow occurred 5,000 years ago, it's grown its own ecology. So now there are plants that live in this area that are there living on little cracks, nooks, and crannies of this lava flow, this cooled lava flow. And so it makes it even more difficult. So it was really good that they did this, but we want to go back and we want to take that hike. I'm sure it isn't very long. They don't make these hikes that long, but to be able to walk through it and say, this occurred 5,000 years ago. And like I said, the story they tell, it was a small volcano, but one day it just got kind of mad. It's, as usual, part of the Rio Grande Rift, and it blew its stack, and it kept blowing its stack for a couple hundred years, enough so that it filled this area with lava. In some places, the lava is 160 feet deep. That's and you can see those places, and it's beautiful in its own way. You find it hard to imagine that just a bunch of lava flow would have.
Well, maybe if you went to Hawaii right now, you'd
have the same thing. Yeah. So geology, I love geology. I'm with you, Cheap Girl. I love geology. Paul says, I had drowned the once in a lifetime oryx hunt. Oh, drawn is what he meant. So he had drawn one of the oryx hunts on the White Sands Missile Range. Mm-hmm. Oryx hunts in White Sands. I hunted in Red Canyon. There were target tanks and spent grenades on the ground. That would have been fun.
Interesting.
But yeah, it is that area where it's the only place in New Mexico where they allow you to hunt oryx. Mm-hmm. But they have to do it once a year in order to not blow them up, I guess. I don't know. They decided they wanted to live on the White Sands.
Can I play the video? Because it's a half an hour long, and now it's
okay. Hold on, let me answer these questions.
8.
Let's see. I would take some by accident. Yeah, you know what people do? I've heard. I don't know if this is true. They'll walk in the sand in their shoes and they collect it in their shoes, and that's what they take home with them. I got to tell you, and I probably shouldn't say this in public, but every time we went there with my parents, my mother would leave with a jar of white sand, with a mason jar of white sand, and she would collect it. And I don't know whatever happened to them or why she did it, and I'm sure she wasn't the only one.
Because there was a sign saying not to.
Maybe
so she had to do it.
That would be my mother.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I don't know what you're going to do with it.
Let's see. Electron. Haven't been there in 10 years. Do they still have live white lizards? You want to tell them that story?
No, I want you to play the video.
Okay, we'll play the video and then we'll answer questions afterwards.
We talk about a lot of this stuff in the video.
Lava,
Let's play it.
the crystals, the gold. I heard you find actual diamonds in the area. That's what I heard too. Volcanic crater near Docero in Colorado, and you can find the lava pockets with crystals. Yeah, you can find. Okay, let's play the video. Otherwise, she's going to have a house in front. You ready? What?
I've been ready.
Okay, here it comes.
Why are you asking me?
I'm asking you, is it okay if I play the video now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Are you done talking? I forgot my banner. Gotta put that banner up, baby.
Yeah, I forgot mine today too.
All right, here we go. Watching video. I'm going to turn our microphones off so we can talk and not bug you guys.
Well, they don't care. They can watch the video on the other channel or on the other. We're going to put the video up separately. So if they don't like our voices, they'll go watch that one. Hello and welcome to New Mexico Day Trips. I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice.
Today we're traveling to the White Sands National
Park now.
Park.
As of 2015.
Yes, that's right. National Park. Wee woo.
You want to answer that?
Go ahead.
All right. So we plan to go to the park. We're trying to get there, although it's already windy. We're trying to get there before it gets dusty, because when it gets dusty, it gets really dusty. And our plan is to go to the visitor center, try for an interview, as usual, because we can never predict whether they'll interview or not. And then we're going to put the action cameras on the front of the truck, and we're going to take a tour. There's a tour route, and we're going to take the
driving
tour route. Yeah, driving tour. And we're going to take a tour route and at least get that for you. So we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping that we get it all done before everybody said that it really starts kicking up in the afternoon. So we'd like to get that done before then. We have, 2.5 hours to get that done. So I'm sure we can. Okay? So enjoy the ride, guys.
Well, we just arrived at the White Sands Visitor Center, and there's several couples milling about, looking at the signs and playing with their cameras and going into the visitor center.
Okay, so here's the weather situation. It is both cold and breezy. So we were going to launch a drone, but on the way in on Route 70, we passed Holloman Air Force Base and then the White Sands test range. So those are both no-fly areas, and the drone actually won't let you launch because it has a database in there that tells you that.
And I feel like all you're really going to see anyway is if a white field, and it'll look like snow from a camera's point of view. It looks like snow.
Yeah.
It's very, very white. It reflects the light. We're going to put the camera on the car anyway and drive through, so you'll get to see ground shots of it. And I don't think an overhead shot would do that much to, add any excitement to it anyways. Yeah. So we're not going to worry too much about drone shots today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of good photographs if we're lucky. So, it's going to be a tough slog today, but hey, we're here?
Well, I think we'll be mostly indoors. We'll be in the visitor center, and then we'll be inside the vehicle, going through the tour, the drive together. So, yeah, we won't be out in the sand, blowing around, getting in our eyes.
Well, let me get the chesty on, and then we'll go in the visitor center, try for an interview. If not, then we'll just go do the drive. What do you think?
Got the hair rattling on the microphone there.
I'm going to, let me see. Bailey, what do you think? What's up? This gentleman is from New Mexico Day Trips. He's wondering if there's anyone available for a short interview. Should I send him over to Ed? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that should be okay. Just don't have okay. I'm going to send you across the street to Ed.
Across the street?
Yes.
What direction?
And when you pull out of the park, I parked.
We didn't go across the street.
We didn't. We decided not to.
Go out to do drive and take a right, and then you're going to take your first left. The administration building is right on the other side.
Yeah, check it.
We
Yes.
passed by it.
We're going to look around here.
Okay.
The gift shop is open?
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
And our park movie will be starting in 15
We're
minutes.
planning to stay for that.
Okay, that'll start at 10:30 through that door and to your left.
Got it. This is one of those pieces I got from Magic's. And it's called Campfires. That's not one. That's a magnet.
Magnets and patches and all kinds of stuff. Tons of books.
As usual.
Plenty of stuff for kids. Roadrunner path.
I'm just going around in circles at this point.
Yeah, you were. Spinny, spinny.
I couldn't play this. They had Christmas music on,
Oh,
so I had to kill everything.
that's all right. Oh, I forgot to wear my shirt.
Oh, I was going to
I
ask.
wore it on the holiday, at the holiday party.
Challenge one.
Didn't have one in the gift shop. It was in the visitor center. I'm sure they have it right there.
The blue one?
Mm-hmm. The dark one. Well, right up front, that one. How inexpensive things were. Yeah, we did. It was nice.
This is all you.
Mm-hmm. There's that lizard. In white. We didn't see him, but there's a picture of a picture. A roadrunner.
reminded me of it. MC
Hello, and here we are at the Visitors Center at the White Sands National Monument. We just went inside, we walked around, we watched the movie.
I read the sign.
The movie is really good.
I
Bought
read the sign
some
out loud.
tchotchkes and a shirt and some Roadrunner patches, and Toby got his challenge coin, and
It was a really inexpensive one. Usually I pay 20 to 25.
yeah, they have really good prices here. So if you're, traveling through this area and you're like, I'd like to get some souvenirs, but I don't want to get them at the Visitors Center because they're expensive there. They're not. Go ahead and check it out. And the t-shirt had like a red line on the price, so it was like 40% off. So really good deals here at the gift shop. And they kind of have two gift shops. In the Visitors Center itself, they sell some things that are national park things, like that's where we got the challenge coin and the Roadrunner patches. And then in the gift shop, they had other things. They had other t-shirts and they have jewelry and
Pottery.
they had like a refrigerator magnet with White Sands, things like that. So come when you can go to both, and it's pretty cool deal. Now we watch them video, and they show that every 30 minutes, so on the hour and the half hour. Check it out. It's good. It's from 2010, but it's good. It tells you all about the White Sands and the animals, and you get to see a lot of good views. They have a lot of overhead aerial shots.
Drone
in
shots.
It. So
I can't do drone shots.
since we can't do that, go watch the video.
Watch the video.
But yeah, it was cool. And there's a lot of things for kids to do, a lot of interactive stuff in there. So definitely bring your kids. If you're ever in the area, definitely bring your kids to the White Sands National Monument, not only to the Visitor Center, but bring your snow toys, your sleds and sliders and that sort of thing, because that's what people do here. And I'm sure we'll see some of that as we do the drive.
So what you find out... I just walked in front of my camera. What you find out is that this park is all about the geology. And that's what the movie does a really excellent job, is explaining the geology. But one of the things that I found interesting is that over the period that they've been maintaining these dunes, what's happened is like the animals, as evolution is wont to do, the animals have lightened in color, because the darker animals were eaten by the bigger animals, and so the lighter ones survived because they would blend against the sand better. So it's like a miniature experiment in evolution, and the biologists just love it. And then in addition, there's some anthropology here, because one of the things that you'll see are the footsteps that were taken 10,000 years. They found footsteps from 10,000 years ago, human footsteps from 10,000 years ago, which is much earlier than we expected human footsteps to be found down here in this area. So
yeah, the Mescalero Apache were here for many years, but so were settlers. So there was a lot of fighting in the area. There is a lake that forms, and the thing is that when it'll dry out, and then when it dries out, everything all dries out. But when it gets wet again, and the water gets down there in the basin of it, then things that were dried out come back to life, like little brine shrimp and
tadpoles and other bugs. And
so the birds all come in and eat them up.
and they enjoy it for as long as the lake bed is not dry. And it happens only during the rain. So it's very interesting in a lot of scientific ways. I mean, it's a real lesson in a broad variety of sciences. So here's what we're going to do. They have a tour loop, and I put the hood camera on full wide angle. So we're just going to drive the tour loop for you, and we're going to be talking to this camera in here. So we'll give you our commentary on it. But we thought you might enjoy that. So
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Let me back out. Well, go ahead and turn the camera on, and then we'll go from here.
Seatbelt on. You want it on video?
Yes, please. Yeah, I think we'll do video instead of time-lapse. Or do you want to do time-lapse?
Oh, so it's whatever you want.
Let's do video. If I want to make it faster.
You're the director. You get to decide.
If I want it faster, I'll just scrunch it in the editor. Which is what I did.
Scrunch. Well, they do have a hand washing station, so.
So they have porta potties outside right now because they're doing construction work on the bathrooms inside. We're going to sped up, yeah.
Do you show the whole thing just sped up? Oh,
I figured that's the least that we could do.
and this
This
music?
is, again, Campfires, the flamenco. It was the last one of the flamenco batch that I bought from.
Magics?
What?
I hope I'm not doing anything bad. I'm fine like
The elevating my 720 when I play the gears a lot less tuning.
it's hard to know that there's a road there.
It's bouncing and it's pretty bouncing. And the truck didn't have that particular camera locked. So it picked up all the bounces. Stop. So I want to stop it for just a second. That haze that you see at the horizon is consistent through the entire time you're there. And that's actually the dust from the gypsum dust that's blowing in the air. I didn't get. I did say it in the other video, but we didn't because we didn't put the audio in here. We didn't say it. I cut out the stops in the full length one as well.
Yeah, that's good. Aha. Boardwalk is slippery when frosty or wet. Well, luckily, we don't have either one of those.
So we'll go out along the boardwalk as far as my camera battery will let us.
Okay.
How's that?
Rubber rabbit brush.
A lot of grasses.
Yeah, grass grows fast,
And it doesn't need a lot of attention.
and it doesn't need a thick root stem or whatever. Just lots of little thin roots. Bleached earless lizard.
Is that a plant or a?
No, it's a lizard. But I don't know if we're gonna
Yeah, we're not going to
see any from here. I probably.
Bleached. Is that how you? Is that how they refer to it?
That's what this says.
Well, that's kind of a good yucca, and I've got this front lid.
Rosemary mint. One of the most successful plants in the dune field. Its rapid upward growth allows it to stay above the sand as a dune passes. This aromatic shrub has small needle-like leaves covered with soft white hairs and beautiful pale purple or blue flowers. Hopi Indians ate the leaves raw or boiled. Its flowers are boiled. Its flowers are used for a seasoning, and a pleasant tea can be made from the leaves. Mint, rosemary mint.
There's my yucca, but that guy's
It's amazing audio for as windy as it was.
Well, except
Your
that it
yucca,
wasn't
huh?
stereo. That's why your audio is.
Soap
I
tree
ran this through
yucca.
the process.
How tall is that
That's the best I
yucca?
could get of me.
The plants and animals of white sands are unique because they must survive in a constantly changing landscape compared to other
Full-blown
arid
limb in your
environments.
face.
A good example is the soap tree yucca. It adapts to the shifting dunes by rapid growth. Yuccas first take root in the interdunal soil. As the dune edges up and over the yucca, it elongates its stem to keep its leaves above the sand for photosynthesis. What looks like a 4 to 6 foot tall yucca growing on top of a dune is really much taller, with a long stem connecting to roots in the interdunal soil.
Sniffly.
And that is
Cold wind makes me sniffly.
cyanobacteria. You will see a bumpy raised surface covering the sand. What you're looking at is cyanobacteria, a woven mat of organisms living on the soil surface. Aha,
You did that 2 or 3 times.
hotbed of evolution.
Well, it's just that it's so visible. I mean, you don't get to experience it.
Moths apparently love white sands. Researchers identified over 650 species of moths in just a 2-mile radius of the park. 35 of those species were brand new, found only in white sands.
So it asked if you could find the hidden lizard in that photo. It's right there.
Oh, yeah. You did find it.
You just ignore me.
Portadillo.
You're putting up with a
Yucca.
little kid.
One-stop shopping. Imagine yourself living in the surrounding desert some 500 years ago without grocery stores. Where would you get your food? What about soap and medicine? The soap tree yucca would have been your store with more than 100 different uses. Aha. I have one of those in my backyard, I think. Well, at least I have a yucca in the backyard. I don't know if it's a soap tree yucca.
I mean, it really is amazing audio for the conditions that we were in.
Torres joint fir. Strange-looking shrub is a primitive plant related to pine trees. And that's the end of the boardwalk.
There's still one more turn
Oh,
up there.
there.
It's on wide angle, so it looks like it's a long distance. It's not.
Oh, yeah.
Plus, these people at the end were just having the dumbest conversation. You'll hear a little bit of. I had to cut it short just because it got ridiculous. We were trying to find a town in Southern California.
Oh, yeah. Windy.
Wow.
How long is the boat?
Less than a half mile.
Round trip? That is the
No, not a round
sumac.
It might be a half mile round trip.
Inside that hill is all the roots. And then little animals also will burrow into that little hill and have little houses.
If you're watching,
I learned
these
that in the
people here-
movie.
I was going to say that was in the movie. These people here are just. Thankfully, my microphone wasn't picking it up.
You can see the yucca pod trying to plant itself there. Well, we just did the boardwalk at White Sands and went out to the end of it, took pictures, got some good footage, and I think we're done. The wind is really starting to kick up.
Yeah, and they warned us about that. You can see the white haze in the background. You can't see because I don't have the camera in that direction. But we had a good trip. Ate 2 birds with 1 seed, and
We ate them.
Oh no,
We fed them.
We fed 2 birds with 1 seed. We didn't eat the birds. But we've had a good couple of days, so we're very proud of ourselves. Really enjoyed it. Had a good time, and you guys get to see the benefit of all of that because we're going to give you the tour of White Sands.
That's right.
So, all right, let's head home.
We're on our way.
All right, you guys. Thanks.
Good timing. It's 8 o'clock.
Okay, so I wanted to let me answer some of these questions here. Remove that. So that video is up as of right now. So if you don't have the live stream. In addition to that, the full
No,
length.
it's not up till 8:30. You said.
Oh, 8:30. You're right. So
It'll be up at 8 in
it'll-
half an hour.
It'll be so if you just want to watch the video, it'll be there. And then of course the video of the drive at normal speed with our conversation is already up. You can see that there. So let's see. So Godelcon says, or Golden Keenan says, my dad would collect canutillo plants. I'm going to assume it's plants, also known as Mormon tea, on white sands. It supports healthy immune function and should be used at the first sign of infection. Wow. And he says he still collects canutillo every couple of years near Vaughan. My grandmother used to, my father's grandmother, the Taos grandmother, used to collect canutillo and mint and yerba buena. They didn't call it mint; they called it yerba buena. And she'd make tea. I finally got that was the yucca that I got the shot of. Cheap girl, Jody, I guess I should call. So I don't. The boardwalk looked relatively new to me. But it also looked like the kind of thing that was designed to last a long time. It was, very well constructed. It's a slight to answer Mary Green's question. It's marginally uphill, very slightly uphill. I didn't see anybody having any trouble, and it's probably about a half-mile round trip. It's not a very difficult walk. There are trails in the dunes that are longer, and you can see them on the map. So, there you go.
I think the nicer the weather, the shorter the walk seems.
So Jody has a good question. So is it dried up lake bed or is the sand blown from another place to the park? Let me share this image with you because it's the only one I have that really explains it. Can I make that bigger? No, I can't.
I think with the 3 dots, maybe.
Let's see. Routine left. Nope. Oops, went the wrong way.
What happened? Oh,
okay. So here's what happens. On this side over here are the San Andreas Mountains leading down into the Oregon Mountains down by Las Cruces. And gypsum blows out of there. So some of that gypsum, a lot of the gypsum blows into the rest of White Sands, right? That includes the Missile Range. So all of that is coming out of the mountains because there's lots of gypsum that used to be mined up there. But even if you didn't mine it, it comes out of the mountains and through wind and water, and it blows across and into the White Sands. There's one little difference between the rest of the White Sands and this one, in that there are 2 lakes, Lake Lucero and Alkali Lake, although they don't name it here. And some of that ends Alkali Flats. And some of it ends up in there. And when it ends up in there, it gets stuck for a while. And seasonally, those lakes dry up. They're not full-time lakes. Their water comes from the rain, and so they're not even deep lakes. They're a couple of inches deep, but they do maintain this funny little relationship with the sand and some of the creatures, because when they do fill up, when it does rain and they do fill, a bunch of other creatures come out of the sand. They had been dormant, hibernating, I guess, in a way, in the sand, and that includes tadpoles and brine shrimp and some other creatures that sea monkeys. That's what the brine shrimp are.
I know.
That just stay there until
monkeys.
you add fresh water. That's what happens. And then that brings in all these birds that feed on these animals, and then it dries up again. And that's when I'll never forget the name of that crystal. I'll never remember the name of the crystal. Selenite. So the selenite forms as a combination of the water and the gypsum, and they're big selenite chunks. We have one that's probably, I don't know, about that big. And pardon?
We do?
Yeah.
Where?
Somebody sent it to us. It's in one of my boxes.
Oh, okay.
In one of the sand boxes.
I did not know.
And you did know that because you put it up someplace saying it draws in all the bad vibes or
all the
whatever.
bad jujus.
All the bad, I don't know what it's called. It's crystal. Well, that crystal stuff. Anyway, then it blows into the national park itself. And Shelley said, isn't it a monument? It was a monument up until 2018. And Donald J. Trump, believe it or not, signed
it. Says monument 2019.
Oh, was it 19?
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to go back and look at it. I took a picture of it.
2018 or 19.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think
it was 18.
I think it was 2018. Anyway, when you drive in right about here, there's another lake. It's a small one that has a parking area, and you can drive up. We didn't stop at it. It was, the playa. Oh. There's they call it the playa. Oh. And it's not very big. But it's another one of those rainwater lakes that forms, but it's closer to the road, so you can stop by. We should have stopped. I saw it again on the way back, and I thought, should I get a picture? Anyway, it's got the whole story there. This is the actual loop here that we drove, and as you can see, it's the outbound loop. There are several, so you can get to the Alkali Flats right there, and there's also the backcountry camping trail. and you can go out there, and there are camping sites. You can only take tents. You have to pack everything in, including water, and pack everything out. And you need a reservation. You can only camp one night at a time, and you need a reservation to do that.
Phone
So,
signals are not good.
no, they're
and
terrible.
GPS is not good. So
So I was going to kind of disagree with that. GPS isn't like cellular. GPS comes from the sky.
well, I think
Right.
they meant that if your phone's not good, you're not going to get your maps on your phone. So if you want good GPS, you're going to need it another
A
way.
GPS, you get a GPS, you get a handheld GPS.
Another
But the
way.
other thing that they mentioned, and I think it was in the video, they mentioned, or I think you actually read it in the handout, in the folded handout, which is very good, by the way. It says something like, "Don't count on GPS.
Right.
Make sure you use a compass and landmarks."
That's right. And a map.
And there are no maps and I've been in the Sahara, for example. There's no landmarks. It's because it's constantly changing.
Right.
Your best chance for
But it said a
survival.
map. It didn't say landmarks.
Oh, so the best chance for survival is a handheld GPS. That's what I
And a
would.
compass wouldn't hurt.
You've got to have. Well, I guess you could use the mountains. You've got to have landmarks. You've got to be able to.
Well, yeah, there's mountains and the sun.
Yeah. Handheld GPS if you're going to hike out into the boonies. Okay, let me go back and answer some more of these questions. Let's see, did I answer this one? Who's the artist of the music? The artist of this music is unknown. I actually bought it as a package of music so the editing software that I use is made by a company called Magix. And one of the tabs on the editing software is called Store. And you can go there and buy sound effects, background templates, all kinds of templates, but you can buy packages of music. This is a flamenco package, and it had 18 different tracks in it. I got it for $8.99, and they don't name them. They give each of the songs a name, but they don't tell you who the artists
Probably
are.
an AI.
Yeah, it could very well be. Although it's very good. Let's see, what elevation? Approximately 4,200 feet, but of course it goes up and down in the dunes. So 4,200 to 4,300 feet at the tallest dunes. Yeah, it does look like a winter scene when you're driving through it. Your first, because the road turns after you get off the asphalt, the road turns completely white and it gets chunky, like you're driving on a packed snow field. And then your next reaction is, oh, I'm getting salt into there's no salt. It is not, gypsum is not corrosive like salt. So, but you do need to wash the minute you leave because everything is covered in white. And if you take your camera out, I carry a camera brush with our equipment, and you have to keep brushing your lenses because the gypsum is constantly in the air. You're basically walking through it.
And when we went there with the kids, we took like the snow sleds, the saucers and things. And we took a picture of our son going down the hill on one of those saucers. And it was summertime, so he's wearing shorts and a t-shirt. And then my husband had the picture of that on his desk. And people would go by and, why is your son dressed in shorts and a t-shirt out in the snow? And he had to explain to him that was White Sands.
Let's see. Okay, so you hear roadrunners do eat lizards. They're in my backyard. I see them in my backyard. I have a little family of lizards that live.
I saw a roadrunner today.
You did?
On my walk.
I see them they're always around here.
Yeah.
But there's a family of little tiny lizards that live in my backyard. And every once in a while I come outside and there'll be a roadrunner sitting on the top of the back wall, and he'll have
Scoping them out.
He's already got it in his mouth.
Huh?
And he's just sitting there like, yeah, I got one. Yeah.
I got one of your lizards.
Yeah. So yeah, it is really cool about the lizards. That's why all the lizards that are there are white, because the darker ones set themselves
Darker
out.
ones go live in the lava field.
Yeah, they set themselves out against the sand, so the birds of prey would see the darker ones first. So as usual in evolution, the ones with the right kind of characteristics survived. So the ones that survived were the white lizards, and now that you can't see them, So let's see. Okay, I think that's all the
right.
questions.
Lizards do eat the bugs.
They do.
But that's the way it goes. Birds eat the lizards so that you don't have too many lizards.
Let's see. Do you make tea? Best collector route? I don't know. They're talking tea here, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Take it home and hang it upside down for a couple of weeks. Yeah, they are talking tea.
Talking tea. Yep.
You
Guys should
can
have your own channel called Talking Tea.
you can actually let's talking tea. That sounds like a great channel,
It's time
doesn't
to
it?
talk tea.
Hi, it's Shelley and
Tea
Toby.
talking
And today
time.
we're going to be talking tea. We've got a real good tea from Oolong, China that we were introduced to at the Christmas party last night.
Oh boy.
That lady made us drink that damn tea. I'm telling you.
No, it was not
So we're at a
good.
Christmas tree and they're
It was
serving
not
all
good.
kinds of food. And DJ is the kind of person that establishes business relationships. So all her sponsors were there. Pizza 9, Matucci's, not IHOP, the other one,
Village Inn.
Village Inn, a couple of it. So they
Bundt
had all
cake,
these,
the Bundt
the
cake
Bundt cake
one.
lady. I
Yeah.
mean, so they had all
And
these
this was
really
a sponsor with the float.
high gluten, high sweet, high sugar, high fat foods. And then along comes this little lady and she has a tray
Little
with
tiny
some
Dixie
tiny paper
cups.
cups and she had a mask on. So when she told me I was getting what I was
And
getting,
she had an accent. So
And
it
she
was
had an
both.
I didn't want to say that. And I didn't understand a word she said, honestly.
Yeah, it was hard.
Did not. But she was
Figure it out
offering
in
me
context.
tea.
Oh,
And
tea?
I thought, yeah. And I thought I might as well drink the tea. And she was very excited about this tea. I thought this must be one heck of a really good tea. So I took it and I took a little sip. And I'm
Not
not
so
a tea
much.
drinker to anyway. And I'm especially not a tea drinker the way the Asians serve it because they serve it without
You know, you would like licorice tea though, because it's sweet. Egyptian licorice tea. It's naturally sweet.
the only tea I
But
like
this
is
was
that
naturally not.
it was naturally not anything. It was
not.
the least tasteful tea I've ever had in my life.
It was not good.
It was, but I drank it just to be.
Luckily, there were small cups.
A person died. Why are we talking about dead people this year in June? I think he got lost and was found a couple
Oh,
of miles from
no.
his car. I think, yeah, it
Dang.
it does happen.
That's
they
not
did mention
good.
in the movie that every once in a while somebody does get lost.
Don't
So,
do that.
Golden says, make sure you wear tight underwear. Ha ha ha!
So the
You know
sun-
why?
sand
Because you end
doesn't
up
get
with sand in them.
Yeah, if you're just sledding and stuff, for sure.
So the lizards need to hire Wiley. Now we're getting a bunch of comedians. So bunch of comedians out there.
That's all right. That's what this show is all about.
Yeah.
Being funny, having
Right.
a good time.
So I think that's all the.
That's all we have for tonight.
all we have
the
for
White
tonight.
Sands. Tomorrow, I'll be on Women Conquer Business and Messages and Methods. We'll be talking about behind the scenes. So
we need
that
to
should be
talk
fun.
about it because I'm not sure which behind. Are you talking about behind the scenes for this show?
No, well,
behind
for
the
all
scenes.
the shows.
Well, they're very.
Indeed, I know. So it'll be an exciting show.
All
So
right.
we can talk
So
about behind
11
the
o'clock for
scenes.
Women Conquer Business, 1 o'clock for Messages and Methods. We will
That's
be
right.
back for that. I will put the links to the other versions of this video in the description box. I also put one of them in the chat room. If you the full video of the drive-through is 30 minutes long at
I
regular
may have
motion.
already seen it.
But
It's got a lot of
yeah,
views.
yeah, I know that both Jody and Adelcon have because they made comments on it. But
So,
it's
yeah.
it's a fun video to watch because
If you
we
have
used-
any place you want us to visit in New Mexico, let us know.
Yeah.
This week we may just be doing a driving video. We haven't decided yet. It's going to depend on the weather. We had some heavy rain tonight, but it didn't last long. So
we're supposed to get some snow up in the mountains the next couple of days, but it should clear up by the time we decide to go on Sunday.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through a place called Chilili, a bunch of old Spanish
Chilili?
towns. Chilili.
Chilili.
Yeah, it's east of the Manzanas.
It's almost like my name.
Yeah, Chilili Carney.
This would be good.
Yeah, actually, it was
Chilili
named by a
Carney.
Spanish woman who was named Shelley, but the Native Americans had trouble pronouncing
Couldn't
it, so
say
they
it.
called her Chilili.
Chilili.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chilili.
That's probably how they would say my name.
Chilili Carney.
That's it.
And for short, they would call you Carnita.
Little piece of meat. Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. That
Thanks.
didn't come out right. All right, guys. I think that's it. Do we have any other things that we want to talk about before we leave?
No,
No?
I'm good.
All right.
We're going to go
happy.
have some cherry pie.
We're gonna have some cherry pie. We got one of those 4-pound cherry pies. It would be
Toby's prize from last night.
Yeah.
Cherry pie prize.
Yeah. That sounds super cool. Chilili. Yeah, it's
Chilili.
Chilili And anyway, it's on the eastern side of the Manzano Mountains, and you go all the way down. What we want to do is we want to go to the, I'll never remember all this. So we have these wonderful books that tell us how to get there. The only thing I have to check.
Paleontology Museum?
Well, that's different. So we
Oh.
have two choices. We can go east and south, or we can go west and north. That's the decision we have to make tomorrow. So
Tomorrow.
there's actually two museums up there, one of paleontology and one of anthropology.
Ew.
So,
Interesting.
and I can do a drone.
Muy interessant.
Jody says, "Be careful driving around. Super fun trips." Yeah, we're not.
Yeah.
We're looking for places that are. Well, we don't want to put ourselves at risk. We're not going to be driving jeeps up into the mountains
No.
like you. But for some reason, on my YouTube channel, they sent me videos that are made by Matt's off-road towing or recovery, something like that, and the things that he has to go. They're in Utah, and he gets some stuff. People get into some amazing situations that he gets them out of, and he has 13 million subscribers. So he doesn't charge if he charged
Maybe
the
we
people.
should get into these sticky wickets.
Should I have bought a Jeep instead of? He doesn't. He's got 13 million subscribers, so he doesn't charge the people that he does recoveries for. The only charge is you have to allow him to record the situation so that he's got another YouTube video. His YouTube videos, the one that was put up 11 hours ago, now has like 330,000 views. So he makes the majority of his income now from YouTube, and all he does, the business is there, and he does business, but his income is from YouTube. 13 million subscribers. How cool is that?
That's right. Let's do it.
So besides, I'm too old for that.
Let's
So
go
if you look at
rescue
that
some
stuff,
people.
you got to look at that. I'm going to be 74 next month, guys. I'm too
We'll
old
do
for
this. We're going to do the Descanso route.
Yeah, we've decided that there's at least a bunch of videos that show the descansos. I think we told them the story last week. 13 million subscribers. Yeah. Can you imagine that?
Tell Jen it's our new job. Yeah. if we could do that, that would be our job. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Takes time though. Lots of consistency, lots of time.
And a reputation. He built a reputation. It was
And
always
people want to see dangerous situations.
I mean, he started his business before he started his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So he had a business, Matt's Off-Road Recovery.
Yeah.
And it was the YouTube channel that led to all the other things. So anybody can do it.
It takes a
You know
lot of
what?
focus.
I actually had that. So that was the Sunspot Observatory was one of the options that I suggested, and we thought it had a limited audience. So, but I might still do like a Toby solo truck camping thing up there, because I think
when it's not so freezing cold.
when it's not so freezing. Well, that's part of the whole truck camping deal, right?
Oh, I see.
Part of it is going
Or
up.
at least
when
you say you're camping in your truck and then you go stay at the Hilton.
Well, you do the video. Yeah.
I'm going to sleep now.
Yeah. And then you wake up. Oh man, that was a tough night with the snow and things like that.
Yeah.
But I did have a good breakfast at Home to Suite. So
yeah,
that was a great hotel. All right. Say your good nights.
Good night. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you again next week. And again, if you have any suggestions for us, places you'd like to see us visit in New Mexico, or if you yourself have things to share about travel, let us know. We'd like to have some guests sometime and talk about your travels.
If you've got some
Mix it up a
video
little.
or videos that you want to share with folks about your exciting adventures, let us know and we'll have you on the show, and then you can share pictures with everybody. We'd like that. That would be fun. Like a panel almost. I love panels.
Yeah. So
All right.
Have a good night. We'll see you next week.
Good night. Don't forget, we love you.